Steve Stine from GuitarZoom, and I am really excited to show you this. What a lot of people have a problem with is trying to figure out places to go on their guitar to get them out of the first position of that minor pentatonic. And I want to show you something really neat that you can do that's very, very easy to do. It's very effective. And so let's take a look at this. The first thing we're going to do is we're just going to situate our first position of minor pentatonic, and what we're looking at in this lesson is going to be what's referred to as the B.B. King box, or the BB box. And this thing was just amazing to me as a kid because before I learned anything, in theory and all that sort of thing, I would learn songs by ear, and I would always see all these guys like Jimmy Page and Eric Clapton and Jimi Hendrix and all these players. They would always do the same things. They would do what I'm going to show you how to do. And I never understood what it was until I learned that this was actually called the BB box, or the BB King box. So let's take a look at this. Let's just start on C. This jam track we're going to be using is in the key of C minor. And so we're going to go up to the 8th fret, and we're just going to play the pentatonic. We're just going to build this. I'm sure you know how to do that, and we're going to need that as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to be building off of the top side of that position to where the BB box is. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at the top 3 strings. We're going to look at the 8-10, 8-11, and 8-11, those 3. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to build into what's referred to as the second position of minor pentatonic, if you know that, and if you don't, we're going to talk about it. But right now, we're going to just take a clipping of it. That way, if you only watch half this video, you're still going to be able to use this, and you're going to be able to benefit from it, which is the most important thing here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 8th fret of the 10th fret of the 3rd string, the 11th fret of the 2nd string, and the 11th fret of the 1st string. So we have 8, 11, 11, which is the backside, if you will, of those 3 strings pentatonically. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go up to that 10 on the 3rd string with our first finger. We're going to play 10 to 12. And then we're going to, on the 2nd string, we're going to play 11, 13. And on the 1st string, we're going to play 11, 13. So what you're going to notice is that this part that we're attaching here is connecting to the first position of minor pentatonic. So we have 8, 10, 8, 11, 8, 11. Well, now we've got 10, 12, 11, 13, 11, 13. So and what you should do is you should just get used to visualizing that for just a minute, how you can connect from this first position to that second position, or that BB King box, if you will. Okay? Now, the thing about playing pentatonic across the entire fretboard is that you're always playing the same notes over and over and over. You're playing the same 5 notes, penta meaning 5. You're playing them over and over and over. So when we play in this BB King box, we're not creating anything new. We're just creating a different way of organizing the notes, because when you play this, you're playing 2 notes on a string, but the notes are different than they are here. They're still part of the same bigger picture of the 5 notes that make up the C minor pentatonic in this case. But what's cool about this BB box is if we go to the 2nd string and we go to the 13th fret, which is our 3rd finger, that's our root. So it's right in the middle, so we can work our way forward or we can work our way backward. And of course we can go anywhere we want, but that's a really nice way of thinking about it. It's cushioned right in the middle. Okay, so that's going to be the first lick that you're going to work on, is you're going to go. Okay, so we're going 13, 11, 13, 13. We're going to do that twice to really establish that root. And then we're going to take and go back to the 11th fret of the 1st string, and I'm going to add what's called a blues bend, which is just a tiny little, just a little twist, and then I leave. Just like that. Just like that. So after I do that little bend, I stop the string with this hand. Sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? So you can already hear kind of an inflection of what B.B. King would do there. You see that? So that's the first lick we're going to work on. Now, there's 2 things happening here. The first thing is visualizing 1st position and then movement into the 2nd position in what we're calling the B.B. King box. It's commonly referred to that, or the BB box. Okay, that's the first thing, is being able to visualize those. The second thing is to start establishing some ideas in the BB box. First idea, knowing where the root is. So you've got somewhere to go. You can move up to it, you can move down to it. Okay, second thing we start doing is we start building, or the third thing, excuse me, we start building some licks out of it. So we've got. Now we can take as long as we want. You don't need to be in any hurry to. You don't have to do it fast or anything, although you certainly can. The rhythm of what you're going to do with this is entirely up to you. But what I want you to start thinking about is not just moving down, and when I say down, I mean towards the thick strings, or towards the thin strings, which I'm going to call up. Those are fine, but what I want you to start thinking about is separating those. Okay, so instead of using all 3 strings, let's just use the movement from the 3rd to the 2nd string, or the movement from the 1st string to the 2nd string, just to get started, just so we get used to being able to not just play a scale up and down. That's not what we want. Okay, so we're really targeting that root in the middle. And then we got that really great blues bend at the end, okay? Now something else that you can do, this is another lick that you can do, is doing this. We're going to go 11, 13, 12, and then we're going to go to 11 on the 2nd string. Sounds really, really cool over a chord progression. Okay, so that's another lick that you can work on. And okay, another really cool thing that you can do if you're playing over this chord right here. Okay, we're playing over a C, for instance. What we might do is we might slide into the 12th fret of the 3rd string, which is part of the BB box. And then we're going to take our 1st finger and we're going to go to the 11th fret of the 2nd string. So that's another lick. Okay, and again, you could make it any way you want. And then you can always go to, and then if you want to add a blues bend, you could throw that little tag at the end and it's pretty cool. Okay, so now what we'll do is we've got some of those little licks in there that we can start kind of dabbling with, add those to your playing. Okay, and again, rhythm is all relative to what you're playing over, okay? Now what I want you to do is I want you to start thinking about some movement ideas, okay? What I mean by that is, let's say, for instance, we come down all 3 strings in that BB box. Now the fingering might change a little bit. Like right now I'm using 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1. Sometimes I'll do 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 1, just because it feels more comfortable to go to my middle finger right there. So whatever works for you is what you need to be doing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to shift back into the first position. And then we can head to our root, which is on the 10th fret of the 4th string. So that's how you can move in and out of that BB box, okay? We call it moving horizontally is really what you're doing. Some people think of it as like a scale extension or a position extension. But really what I'm doing is I'm just thinking 13, 11, 13, 11, 12, 11, 12, 10, 8, and then my 10 is my root. Now I could move up the same way, and if I did that, I'd have 3rd finger, 1st finger, 1st finger, 3rd finger. That's how I would do it. I would move on my 1st finger. You might go and move with your 3rd finger. It's okay either way. Whatever's more comfortable for you. And now we're back in that BB box. Or we might go into that lick, right? Right there I slid up with my 3rd finger. Right? Or I could go all the way up. Right there, I went to a bend. I went to a whole step bend on the 13th fret of the 1st string. So I can still use, but I can use this in front of it, which is pretty cool too. Now all of a sudden you've got yourself a whole step bend. And again, Eric Clapton and Hendrix and Jimmy Page, all that. Okay, so let's talk about that bend in the BB box a little bit. This 1st string bend can be bent upward a whole step, can be brought back down. This is called a ghost or a reverse bend, where you're already starting with it up, and then you're bringing it back down. Okay, so you can bend it up in any fashion you want. You might be going, and then throw that little blues bend at the end. It sounds really neat. Or you might go, and then walk your way back down into that 1st position again. Or maybe you go up. Okay? The point is, there's a lot of beautiful stuff happening in this BB box, this 2nd position, where a lot of times when people think about learning the positions on their guitar, they just kind of think about playing them up and down and up and down and up and down. And the problem is that you're missing out on all the really good blues stuff. The magic, I mean, there's a few magical things about blues for sure, but one of the really great parts is this BB box here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jam just a little bit. I'm not going to play fast. I'm going to jam a little bit using just that BB box right there over the jam track. Okay, and then you can learn this as well. We'll have tab for you on this and that sort of thing as well. Not going to play fast. I'm just going to show you how you could utilize that BB box a little bit over this jam track. So check this out. see, what I'm doing there is I'm simply trying to find some repetitive ideas that I'll call licks, and then I'm trying to find some movement ideas to move back and forth between the first and the second position. So a couple things I'll show you here that I was working on that I haven't already showed you. One thing would be taking, for instance, like the 8, 11, 8, 11, and then the 11, 13, 11, 13, and finding different ways of moving back and forth between those two strings. Or see something like that. What I like to do is I like to move in and out, and then I'll shift up. Which is kind of fun. There's lots of really neat stuff you can do moving back and forth between those two positions just on those two strings. And always remembering that you got this gem of a root sitting right here. You've got that root, which is the C, sitting on the 13th fret of the second string. So you can always resolve back, or if you're down here, you can always come up to that. Now, the truth is you do also have a C sitting here. And when I was in college, this was a hard lesson that I had learned. Well, it's not really a hard lesson, but I never thought about it. And then I'm standing there with all these other guitar players, and we were talking about this, and then I went, duh, that makes sense. I always hated going to my first string to try and do, like, end on a note, because it's hard to get a decent vibrato. You know, it's okay. I got to go towards the ceiling and all that sort of thing when I do my vibrato. But I remember somebody saying, well, why don't you just do it on your second string? That way you got more control. And I never even thought about that before. So that's when I started thinking, okay, so instead of doing this and kind of fighting the vibrato, now if you like that, that's okay. What I can do is go to the same note here in the BB box. And what's nice about that then is I have notes that are higher than me that I can go to, or notes that are lower than me that I can go to. So I really like that freedom of being able to go in there and do that. Another thing that I was doing in that little improvisation was I was adding in my pinky on what we call the blues note. So I was using this little lick where I'm using my third finger on 13, hammering to 14, back to 13. So I'm doing two pull-offs. So I'm pulling off from 14 to 13 and then 13 to 11. And see, I can combine. So now I'm thinking I got a whole step bend on the first string. I got a blues bend on the first string on the 11th fret. I got my root on the second string. I got that little double stop thing I can use. I got walking up, walking down. I got movement back to the first position, right? Whether I'm walking down this way or I'm walking more horizontally through two strings. See, there's just so many great things. And again, the point isn't that you learn all of this and you master all of this. And if you do, that's awesome. The point is there's something in there that you can grab and you can start using, and you can think about it in a way that you've never thought about it before to make your playing more creative, right? So it really comes down to how you're putting together your fretboard, and then the options you have with what you're seeing. Right now, we're seeing the first position in this BB box right here, and we're figuring out how we can move in and out of the two. We're figuring out how we can create some licks in there in that BB position, and some effective tools like bending, vibrato, blues bend, different things like that we can use. Now, we can always use things like hammer-ons and pull-offs, which I've been using, but I can also use a trill. A trill sounds really nice. Like I might go to the second string where my root is, and I might do a trill where I'm pulling off and hammering from 11 to 13, and then I go to my root at the end of that. Now, again, I could do all kinds of different things, but the point is to get you thinking and figure out, well, how can you utilize this, right? What can you take from there and start adding it in? Because the whole thing about guitar playing is after you start doing this for a while, you'll start realizing that it isn't all about scales and it's not all about chords. And I mean, there's only so many scales and chords that you have on this guitar really that are functional on a daily basis. It's the way that you're putting the pieces together that make all the difference in the world in your playing. That's what I want you to be thinking about. So we're going to end this lesson with constructing the first position and the full second position if you've never done this before. And if you have, you don't need to worry about it. But I want you to see how the two bigger pictures connect together so you can take what we're doing in the BB box and the first position, and you might be able to expand it out more across all 6 strings in these 2 positions. So we know the first position. We've got 8, 11, 8, 10, 8, 10, 8, 10, 8, 11, 8, 11. Our usual. Our second position is going to start on where the first position leaves off, which is the 11th fret. So we're going to play 11, 13, 10, 13, 10, 13, and now we're going to enter that BB box, 10, 12, 11, 13, 11, 13. So we've got, 11, 13, 10, 13, 10, 13, then 10, 12, 11, 13, 11, 13. So if you think about all the stuff that you're learning how to do in this BB box, which is kind of unique to the BB box because of the notes, the way they're set up on each string. You know, you're able to do that bend and that sort of thing. But if you think about how you were shifting back into the first position, or you were taking these 2 strings and kind of shifting in and out of those 2 strings. Well, think about it. You could do that on any 2 strings. Like you might come down to the second and third strings. Now, I'm not doing anything. I'm just kind of moving around. I know that root is there. Or I might move to the third and fourth strings. Or the fourth and fifth strings. But the point is after all is said and done, the most important part I've got is up here. And everything else that I can do with that. So this BB box is a great place for you to start looking for some great ideas. Licks, movements, repetitive patterns, all kinds of things are existing in that BB box and its movement to and from other positions. Right now, it's okay for us just to focus on the first and second positions, but as you get better and you start learning more stuff on your guitar and all that sort of thing, your journey keeps expanding, you might look at the third position or the fourth position or the fifth position or whatever it might be, and you just keep moving forward from there. So practice hard and take care, and I'll see you soon. Hi there. Thank you so much for watching this video. I certainly hope that it helped you a little bit. If you enjoyed the video, please do me a huge favor and either like it, subscribe to the channel, share it, or comment on it. Okay, that's going to help us out enormously. And then we can keep in contact with you when we have new material that comes out. And if you enjoyed the video, we've got some other videos over here that you can watch that might be able to help you on your guitar journey as well. And if you look up on the top there, you're going to see there's a little eye up there. If you click on that, we are going to be giving you a free gift just to say thank you for watching the video. And then if you'd like to follow us on social media, you can use the term @GuitarZoom and you can find us there. All right? So take care, keep practicing, and have a great day.